You can weigh every ounce of food, track every macronutrient to the decimal, and still find yourself battling intense sugar cravings and afternoon energy crashes. The issue isn't a lack of discipline. Modern, processed diets overshoot the body's hardwired satiety switch. We eat continuously, yet the signals that tell our brain we are full never actually fire. Deep within the lower small intestine and the colon sit specialized sensors called L cells. These act as the metabolic gatekeepers of your digestive tract, waiting for specific nutritional cues to shut down hunger. But those L cells are blind in a modern dietary environment. Standard carbohydrates and regular starches break down into glucose in the upper digestive tract. They never reach the colon. To activate the L cells, you need a specific carbohydrate structure that resists early digestion, resistant starch. Because this unique starch is absent from a standard diet, those internal satiety signals sit dormant. The body registers this absence as a continuous state of starvation, driving you to eat more regardless of calories actually consumed. To use resistant starch correctly, you have to follow the raw rule. Type 2 starches, like green banana flour and raw potato starch, lose their structural resistance if heated above 130 degrees Fahrenheit. If cooked, they break down into blood sugar-spiking carbohydrates. When kept raw and cold, this starch arrives unchanged in the colon, where your microbiome ferments it into a short-chain fatty acid called butyrate. L cell receptors taste this butyrate and secrete a surge of naturally occurring GLP-1 and peptide YY into your bloodstream. At the same time, these hormones communicate with your brain through the vagus nerve. It's a coordinated response, delivering a dual chemical and electrical command that overrides the physical sensation of hunger. These hormones shift the body's metabolic priority. Because butyrate influences how your cells use energy, it signals the system to preserve muscle mass and prioritize burning stored visceral fat instead. The timing of when you introduce this fuel to your microbiome dictates the specific physiological response. Taking a dose of resistant starch on an empty stomach first thing in the morning acts as a metabolic primer. Without other food particles in the way, it moves quickly to the colon. Look at this graph tracking post-meal blood sugar. Because resistant starch ferments slowly in the colon, a morning dose produces a continuous drip of GLP-1. This is the second meal effect. The GLP-1 already in your system blunts your insulin response and flattens the curve of your next meal, even after a heavy lunch. There's a strict chemical rule to observe. Do not combine resistant starch with high-sugar foods. Flooding the digestive tract with glucose allows opportunistic, sugar-loving bacteria to multiply, hijacking the gut environment and disrupting the GLP-1 signaling process. Moving to the opposite end of the day, a nighttime dose serves a different metabolic function. Mixing resistant starch with a healthy fat, like MCT oil, right before bed becomes a tool for optimizing sleep architecture. Unlike the quick spikes and crashes of sugar, the slow fermentation process creates a sustained release of energy. This constant supply prevents the blood sugar dips that trigger the adrenal glands to release cortisol, the primary cause of those frustrating 2 a.m. wake-ups. By controlling exactly when this starch hits the large intestine, you seize command of your internal biological clocks, stabilizing daytime insulin levels and silencing nighttime stress hormones. To reawaken these dormant biological pathways, we use a 4-week retraining protocol. As this chart shows, the process requires patience. You must start with a microdose of just 1 teaspoon a day in week 1. Adding a high volume of a novel fiber into an unadapted microbiome will overwhelm the system. Early on, bloating is common. This gas is a byproduct of the beneficial bacteria multiplying and evicting the entrenched, sugar-loving microbes. By week 3, the population stabilizes, the bloating subsides, and the daily dosage can safely increase to 1 tablespoon. For individuals dealing with severe gut sensitivities or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, fermenting dense starches can cause pain. The workaround is swapping raw potato or green banana flour for acacia gum. It's a heat-stable prebiotic fiber that delivers a highly effective metabolic signal with less digestive stress. You will know the protocol is working when you reach the 4-hour window. This is the primary physiological marker of success, experiencing no biological desire to consume food for a full 4 hours after a meal. Secondary markers quickly follow. Energy crashes and hangry mood swings vanish. the psychological pull toward late-night snacking dissipates, and over time, a lowered colon pH reduces systemic inflammation. These markers prove that your L cells are online and communicating with your brain. The ultimate value of resistant starch is seen when you no longer have to fight your own biology to maintain your health. It is about reclaiming your body's metabolic autonomy.